Good evening, everybody. Am I on? Yes. Good evening, everybody. We're coming live to you right here at TPC. The way that what tonight happening was really organic. It just really kind of started with a conversation with Chestoria and I was like, you know what, we need to talk about it. And so instantly I thought about Ryan because of conversations that he and I have had in the past, and I really wanted to hear it from two different perspectives. Um, and so I have invited them. I have Chestoria and Ryan. They're going to sit with me tonight. And Desi keeps telling me my title over and over again. She sounds like she hollering at me. So tonight's topic is I was done with God. I was done with God. I know so many people that are in this place. I do. I bump into people like this all the time. All the time. I cross paths. And I think that I personally cross paths with people because my love philosophy. I have a philosophy of, first of all, person first, which is a communication term. So whenever I talk to somebody, meet somebody, I never tell them what I do. I never tell them I'm a pastor. I never say that. I'm always, hey, I'm Andrea. Even at church, after church, when people come up to talk to me, I always introduce myself as Andrea because I live by a person first perspective. Let the person of me meet you versus my title and all of that. Just be a person. Be a person, be kind, and I believe in that. And I have learned how my love philosophy to just love people, no matter who they are, what they do, what their background is. I just have a philosophy of just loving people. And because of that, it draws people to me. As much as I'm an introvert, as much as I'm to myself, any job I'm on, yeah, people draw to me. And I think it's because, first of all, I'm even keel. I'm the same every day. I don't care what's going on. I'm always going to speak. I'm always going to greet people. And so I've lived by that philosophy. And because of that, I've encountered so many people who have felt comfortable with talking to me about their faith, about whether they didn't believe. I have met so many PKs, I cannot tell y'all, that either don't believe in God anymore or they believe in God, but they don't go to church, they don't do church anymore. I cannot tell you how many, some of them because they have chosen alternative lifestyles. Their parents have disowned them and stopped talking to them and all that. I've met a lot of that, and I've always tell my child, I don't care what you do, where you go, and how you do it. If I can be in a relationship with you, I'm gonna be in a relationship with you, whether I agree with your life or not. I would never allow that to hinder me from a relationship. I wouldn't do that. The only way I wouldn't be in a relationship with you is if you chose not to be in one with me. But there's nothing about a lifestyle or anything you choose to do as far as living your life that will cause me to say I'll never have anything to do with you anymore. Because when we sign up to be parents, we don't sign up to be parents to the version of what we think or want our child to be. We sign up to be parents to the version of who and what our child is and what they become. And so parents, that's what we sign up for. And so I truly believe in that. So I have ran into so many people that's their story. And so I have both of you here, and I was telling them before we went live just how I was going to kick off the conversation. And one thing that I know about when it comes to God, most of us reference God, see God, our proximity to God, our relationship with God is based on how we've experienced God, be it how we've experienced God on our own personal journey, which often comes after a journey that we've been born into, because most of us, the faith that we have, what we believed it because that's what our folks believe, that's what our parents believe. Only time something went different is when we start kind of searching stuff, questioning things within ourselves, and began to research and find our own path to God. So that happens. But one thing I know about it, most of us, our concept of God, how we see God, think about God, our relationship with God is usually based off of how we've experienced Him. And I was telling them when we started, I think where a lot of us make our mistake is that, all we've been told all our life is God is good. God is good. And He is. But that is not the only characteristic and attribute of God. And sometimes because all we've been told is God is good, is in which He is good, in which He always is good, but also sometimes what He allows don't look good. And so that's what I think trips a lot of people up is they like, how is this good God allowing this? How is this good God sitting up there letting this happen? How is this good God allowing this child to be abused? How is this good God allowing this girl to be molested? How is this good God? That's what I think is sometimes people's biggest struggle is how does a good God allow bad things and still be considered a good God? How do you expect me to believe in a God that you're saying is good and nothing in my life looks good? Would you agree with that? Is that kind of how people's God experience started? So, and because we know God is good, it's hard for us sometimes to perceive Him as anything else than good. And when we start experiencing stuff up under the auspices of a good God, we struggle. Sometimes we struggle. So let me ask you this. I know Chestoria's story is one thing, Ryan's story is totally different. So I know one thing that, Ryan and I have talked about is and this is not about TPC, but I'm saying this because these are the conversations that he and I have, that him being at TPC has been intricate in him developing his personal relationship with God and even getting back to believing. Am I right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, can you talk to us a little bit about that? And then we'll go to Chestoria. What brought you, because like when I met you, I remember one of the first times I met you, I called you out, right? And I prayed for you.
Yes.
And you said you was like, please don't let this lady touch me. Tell him about it, Ryan. I was like, please don't let this lady touch me. Please don't.
My wife told me we was going to come to the church for the first time. I was like, cool, we got to go home right after, though. And don't want to be there for real. Don't want to even go. I was trying my hardest not to let her take me. And that's like, cool. I was mad going in, mad sitting down. I was like, okay, we're going to get through this, and we're just going to go home. They ain't going to call me out. No, I'm just going to sit here. We're going to leave. That didn't happen. So my wife didn't know you were calling us up either. So when we get up there.
Me either. Yeah. You do know I didn't know either. Okay, I just I didn't know either.
Because I was mad. I was like, I looked at
you told her something?
You told her to do this? I know you did. And she's like, no, I swear, I didn't. So when we went up there, she prayed over us, put her hands on me, and just read me like a book, and I was mad the whole time. She's like, oh, yeah, this is hurting you. This wall's up.
I don't even remember.
You need to fix this. You need to talk to this person. I was like, yo, stop talking to me. It hurt my feelings a little bit. But she read me so well, and I was like, this got to be a different level, something I've never experienced. I felt something inside me that hadn't been there ever, I feel like.
Are you serious?
Yeah, it was, my whole body was burning up. I just felt like something was releasing.
Wow.
It was life-changing.
It was God.
Yeah, it had nothing but. I was like, yeah.
It was God. Right. So let me ask you this, because I know when we met, and when we finally did get to talk, and you told me how mad you were at me that day, and you had forgave me by the time you talked to me. And why were you in that place, though? Like, I don't want to go to church. I don't want to hear about God. I don't want to hear. What did you believe in God prior to?
When I was young, like 10 and under, I was like, yeah, God's real. Cool. I want to be Jesus freak. Went all to the
like Reagan
Christian,
is now.
Yeah, went to the Christian rock band things that we used to go to every summer. Yeah, they used to take us to Christian concerts. Went to all of them. Was having a great time.
Wow.
Then I think I started I was getting severely bullied. I was like, why would you let this happen when I'm doing this? And then a couple years later, my parents divorced. I was like, that's in the Bible that they shouldn't do that. Mm-hmm. So why is this happening? And then I just felt like there's not really anything. It's just words in a book. And I traveled away. It was did
Let
my
me
own
ask
thing
you
for a
this:
while.
those years that you were not like into God, how was your life?
It was a lot harder than it is now. Uh, I was always angry. Probably the angry. I was angry waking up, angry going to sleep, angry through the day. Didn't want nobody to talk to me. Didn't want nobody to breathe near me, whisper to me, nothing. Just don't touch me. Don't be near me.
Wow.
Nothing. I didn't want nothing to do with nobody. I wanted to be by myself, stay in my room, and I'd play video games a lot, so it'd be like my escape from reality.
Okay.
So I did that nonstop. Even at the beginning of our marriage, I don't hardly do it at all as much anymore because I don't want to be in that area
Yeah.
anymore. I want to
Yeah.
be in the real
That is
world with my
so
kids and my
good.
wife, and so it was very lonely. Though I wanted attention, I just didn't want it at the same time.
Well, I get it. I get it. Chestoria, your story is a little different. Okay, so tell us. Now, did you believe in God before?
I did. I'm actually a PK kid. My grandparents raised me, and my grandfather pastored his entire life.
Okay.
So I was raised in the church.
Okay.
Every day, Wednesday, Monday,
Tell me
Sunday,
about it.
Saturday, I was there.
That's why I don't like a whole lot of church now.
Yes.
Because I did it all my life,
All
literally.
my whole life. So I'm a PK grandkid, but I was raised by my grandparents. And 2014 was kind of my transition. My son passed away in
Okay.
2014, and then immediately after he passed, me and his dad separated, and I was grieving, so I lost my son. Then me and his dad separated, so I was like, you know what, I'm
Which
gonna
is
get
like another death.
another death. But I was like, you know what, I'm gonna get married. So I got married to somebody that was totally different. Then we divorced, and he was in the church. So I married in the church because I thought that's what I needed. I was looking for God. So I married in the church. We separated. Right after that, I got diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. So it was like my son passed, I grieved his dad, I went through a divorce and cancer within 15 months. Like I didn't have a break. It was just boom, boom, boom. So at that point, I was like, you know what? I'm done. Like, because prior to that, I was in church. I thought I was doing what God wanted me to do. I thought I was serving and praying. So I'm like, why is this happening to me? Like, I'm doing everything you told me to do. I got married so I wouldn't be shacking up. You know what I'm saying? And then we separated, and then now a terminal illness. So I was looking for answers, and in the process of looking for those answers, I went down this rabbit hole.
How did you go down that hole? Because that's what you was telling me about. How did you
Yes.
even get introduced to that?
Yes. Oh, so I had a friend, somebody that I already, not a friend, but people that I had already knew that was into that stuff. And then the place that I worked was like a cesspool of like all of that stuff, right? So I just started studying and watching videos and going into those circles and reading books. And so I got into witchcraft really heavy. And I'm talking about tarot reading, crystals. I got in a coven. I was in a coven.
Really?
Yes, I was in a coven. I studied under a priestess to become a priestess in the African spirituality. So I was heavy. It wasn't like no play. Like I got the
Yeah,
tattoo.
she was showing me all of that the other
I
day. Now,
marked
what
my-
does all of that mean?
So these are known as chakras, which are considered to be like energy sources for the body, but it's rooted in Hinduism, which Hindu is a polytheistic religion, which means they believe in multiple gods. So I'm wrapped up in all that, but on top of that, I immersed myself in everything. Like I wanted to find God, but I studied Islam. I lived with a Middle Eastern family for a month. I went to a Quaker church. I studied
You were just
Buddhism.
all over the place.
I just was all over the place. But it actually benefited where I am now because I'm able to relate to people.
So many different
So
people.
many different people. And at the time, I didn't see that because everybody, I'm just all over the place. But God was like, you know what? I'm going to let you be crazy for just a little bit, but I'm going to use all of that. So every religion, I studied it. I learned it. I mean, I really, I lived with families who were immersed in those cultures. So.
How did you get out of that?
So one day, so actually I met another friend who was already in church, and her spirit, it was something about her spirit. And I was like, I want that, like that peace. It was just a peace. So she invited me to church. And at this time, I wasn't going to church. Like, if you saw me, you knew I was into witchcraft.
Why you say that?
Because the way I dressed, I mean.
How did you dress?
Oh gosh, I would wear like chicken bones around my neck, and I had like the septic piercings. I had crystals everywhere. I mean, you could just look at me, and I got old pictures, but I was looking at some old pictures of my eyes were just dark.
Really?
Like you could tell, right? And so she invited me to church, and I went to church. And I sat there for a little while, and I sat in the church for months before I actually joined, and I just couldn't fight it. But ended up joining the church. Well, not joining, but just not becoming a member, but just going. And then I remember I just felt like this pull. They did an altar call, and I think at the time the pastor said something about somebody's in here really tangled up in witchcraft, and God is calling you back. And I just got up and went to the altar. And then I ended up getting baptized, and that was 2019.
Okay.
And 2019, I was standing in the store where I was working, doing all the witchcraft stuff, and God said, leave. Leave and don't come back. He said, something is about to happen. I need you to leave. And right after that, I left, and COVID hit. So now I'm in a year of isolation with just me and God. And then that was kind of like my purge of just
coming out
of it. And it was lonely, but it was so great.
It was great. How did you get here?
So Propheticon, I want to say it was 2022.
Okay.
I saw you at Propheticon. And it was just something about, I just connected. I mean, you talked about how I just connected. And I was like, I'm going to try her church out. Like, because you would speak, like he said, you were speaking to me. Everything that you said was like, I was like, God, you done told this lady all my business. And I came up to you after church. I gave you a hug. I was like, I'm going to come visit the church. And then you posted later on about the women in ministry, because I know that, God has called me. I just didn't know what area. So I came, and then I was like, I'm going to come back and visit. And then one Sunday morning this year, recently, I would say, was it April? Was it May, February 2024? February 2024 of this year.
It's the beginning of the year.
Yes. God woke me up, and literally he said, go to TPC and you are to serve under Pastor Andrea. And I came and I sat down, and when you called for partnership, I joined.
Yeah. Wow. Now, Ryan, answer me this, because I know even though you came that Sunday and that happened, and you said you felt this feeling all over your body, at that time, did you know it was God?
I would say yeah, because I was in church all my younger life through middle school. I was in and out, like I'd go every once in a while, but I never felt that in the church. I've never felt. It was just like a warmth and like a comforting feeling. I was like, there ain't nothing but that could be it. Because I've been warm before, but I ain't been comforted like that. Like, I'm like, that's gotta be.
This is a different kind of warm.
Yeah, exactly. It's a different kind of comfort, different kind of safety I haven't felt ever. And I was like.
So when you started coming, because did you come right back? I can't remember. Or was it a while before you came back? After that Sunday?
I don't think it was
too much
too
longer. Because
much
y'all wasn't living
longer.
here yet, was you?
No, we were living in Oklahoma at that time.
Okay.
And then, like, I think in either October or November of 2022,
y'all moved back.
Moved back to Alabama. And then we started going every Sunday.
What was the conversation like that Sunday going home after that happened? Or did you not even talk about it?
I know we talked about it because I think we cried half the way home, and it's like an
Really?
11-hour drive. Yeah, it was half the time we were still. I was like, I don't know what's. I was like, we got to go back, and she's like, yeah, we will. I
You
said, I know.
said that?
Yeah, I was like, we got to go back. We'll go back. That's probably one of the main reasons that we came back to Alabama was come to church here, and I said,
Okay, I'm back.
I said that's the only reason I'd come
Oh
back is
my
for the
God.
church. So.
Okay. So from where you were with God to where you are now, what's the difference?
I have full faith in whatever he has for me. Before I do something, I pray, or I'll be like, is this right? And then I feel it, or I
That
hear
peace.
someone talking, and I'm like, oh, that was for me, cool. I'm like, yep, I can do this, or no, I'm not doing this right now. This ain't for me right now. And it's just a peace of mind, a piece of walking, a piece of just everything. I'm not afraid to do anything. I used to be anxious to talk to anybody, depressed all the time. I feel like might be a little bit anxious still, but like not as bad as I used to be. I have come a long way from where I was, especially as a husband, as a father. I feel like it's just a 180 complete difference than what I used to be when I wasn't walking through faith and with God.
With God. Wow. So do you meet people who were like you? Do you know somebody that was
I
like
know people that were like me, but I'm not able to talk to them as much as I'd like to, and I feel like they wouldn't hear me personally if I did try to talk to them. I do try, but I'm like, you can tap into Pastor A. I know she on live on Facebook, and then I might look. I'm like, okay, just let you know. But
Yeah.
I let all the people that I care about know, but hey, if you need anything, just talk to me. I'll pray. I'll do whatever you need me to do. And
That's huge.
if they need me, they'll call me. If they don't, I'm okay. I'll catch up with them later or something.
So you saying that I visibly, first of all, can say that I see your growth. You know, I've seen you like evolve. You know what I mean? Like, and it's been something to see. It's been something to watch because you know you were like this when you came. You know what I'm saying? To us texting, to messaging, to talking. It just evolved. You know, I seen you just different. Your countenance is different. The way you move is different. Your confidence, everything is different from when I first met you. And so I don't think people sometimes understand how God can attribute to the small things, you know, in our lives, like confidence. You know what I'm saying? Like me being confident in myself, you know, and things like that. Sometimes it's that kind of stuff can seem insignificant because when it comes to God, sometimes we make everything with God is grand, but I think we label what's grand and what's not. You know, and sometimes what grand is, oh, this big house, this big car, this big this, but peace is grand. Yeah. Especially when you've lived a life void of it. Yes. Peace is priceless. Peace is grand. Let me ask you this. I was saying before, and this is both of y'all can answer this. I was saying before, oftentimes we feel about God based on how we've experienced God through people who said they know God. And so a lot of times I saw on Facebook, it was this post that was going around last week where they were saying, if I misrepresented God in any way, you know, I apologize, please forgive me. And several people were sharing it. And I think that very well can be the reason what turns a lot of people off from quote unquote Christianity or God, because of sometimes how we represent him, how we present him. And so people are looking at you like you God, scriptures always coming out of your mouth, but you don't know how to treat people. You don't know how to talk to people, you know, and I think that we miss the biggest thing of what God is. God is love. I cannot stress that enough. God is love. And love is not an option word. Love is not I choose. Love is love. God is love. He's commanded us to love. And I think the church, we miss it sometimes in that area. And a lot of times, I see a lot of people that my spiritual father was talking about something the other week about what he called like a radical Christianity. And a lot of times where, it's everything is a demon, everything is the devil, everything is, now we so demon aware, but less kingdom aware. And I know demons are real. Hear me, I know it's real. I know that. But I don't know if, as a believer, because I am blood bought, because I'm under blood covenant, that I should be so drunk with that versus drunk with kingdom. You know what I'm saying? And because that only has the power that's given it. And so sometimes I think, and so that's what we was talking about, like, and a lot of times I realize that a lot of times when people are what we would call radical Christianity, he was used that word, if I'm not mistaken, was, that all you do is just point out faults. All you do is point out faults. All you really do is preach fear, preach a doctrine that people so fearful. Like, every little bit, they just like, every little thing. And a lot of times I realize that a lot of times a lot of people that teach like that, or that's their perspective, they have been quote unquote saved from some big stuff. And sometimes when they come over, it's like they go way over to the right, and just have like zero balance. And I'm just like, what happened to the grace that was extended to you? Being extended to other people, allowing people the process to get it, the time to walk through it, to come into the realization of certain things, and not just being so cut, just, and I believe holiness is right. I always stand on that. Holiness is right. So I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the way we present stuff sometimes. So your struggle with God, did it have anything to do with the way God was presented to you by people who said they loved God? Was it people that you looked at and you was just like, now you say you love God. Did that cause you to see God differently? Either one of y'all want to go first?
Absolutely.
Was that the biggest thing?
That was probably the second biggest thing, because I was in church, and like I said, I had people in church tell me, especially when I got heavy off into all of that other stuff, instead of loving and embracing me, they said that, that's why God, took my baby, because I was a sinful person. I mean, these are people in the church. And then, when I got married, my husband was a minister in the church. And prior to us getting married, I had explained to him that I didn't want to go to church because I was still going through my grieving and just trying to understand my relationship with God. And he told me he understood, but he used that grief as tools to like manipulate me and weaponize and manipulate me. And so that also turned me off. So I had like people that I love and I trusted, that I looked to for spiritual guidance, tell me, I was sinful. And then I had a man who was supposed to be my covering weaponize church or spirituality or the word of God in our marriage. And so
what does weaponizing church look like?
Taking scripture and using it to manipulate you for their benefit, or make you feel bad for doing or being who you are, and trying to control. And for me, understanding that word witchcraft, like a lot of people don't understand that. For me,
that's witchcraft.
That's manipulation.
Yeah.
It's manipulation, taking scripture and trying to manipulate and control people. And so it turned me off family-wise, church family-wise, and then in a marriage,
So you had it coming from all different
different angles. And it was, So.
What about you?
I would say yes, because it was probably the number one thing, because my whole town was Christian, Baptist, whatever. We had like 3 different churches there, but they were all Christian churches, no any other religion there. But if you weren't at church, if you weren't reading the Bible, if you weren't talking about God, you were a heathen, you were an outcast, you you weren't a part of the gang.
So
like,
it
you
was
weren't
no
cool.
balance.
None. It was like you either doing this or doing how we ask you or what we are doing, or you just going
So
ahead.
it was nothing but church?
Nothing but church. Like it was either
Like you couldn't go to the movies, you wasn't going out to eat, you wasn't doing none of that.
No, I wasn't. No, I
Just
was
straight church.
just they'd go to church, go to the movies, but it was like the whole church would go to the movies.
Not like us. Not like
y'all,
us.
Yeah, not like us. But like, I was like,
Everything was done
everything
like
was done
centered
with
around the church.
Yeah, it was. And if you went with the other groups that went to the different types of movies that were scary movies or whatever, cool, you're watching demons play, and I'm like, okay, like.
It was extreme.
Yeah, it was like you either only going to this type of stuff with us, these functions, or you got demons on you. I'm like, yeah.
And no in between.
No, I was like, I'm just going.
So that kind of just turned you off
yeah,
from it.
I was, no.
You were done with it.
Yeah, I was.
So
completely
let me ask you this: okay? I know you said that was the first thing, and I know the other thing you were saying is just life stuff you experienced and being like, how could God allow this and be God? Which kind of what you were saying too. Like, I didn't get a break. Like one thing after another, after another, after another, after another. It's like we beefing. You mad at me? You don't like me? Is there something going on between us that I don't know? You know, and I felt like that in seasons of my life. You know, like, my God, like, what is it you want? You know, because there have really been times that I felt like I had nothing left. And, you know, and it was still, you know, sacrificing. You know, so I think what the difference was for me is I was a church girl, but my greatest experience with God didn't happen in church. I think that was the difference for me. I think that is the thing that has kept me. I can't speak for anybody else. I'm talking about me personally. That for me, I think that the factor that helped me stay in faith is I learned relationship very early. Very early. I learned relationship versus religion very early. And even though I went to church, I experienced God at home. I experienced that God at home. Now, my grandparents raised me as well, and they were like deacons and deaconess. You know, so they was heavy in the church. We went to church all the time. It was Tuesday night teaches me, Wednesday night Bible study, Thursday night choir. I mean, just church. Sunday school, 11 o'clock service, 2 or 3 Sundays out of the month, 3 o'clock service. Woo! I mean, just church, okay? And that's why now, you know, not saying I don't like church, because I do. I love church. Not saying I don't want to go to church. It's not that. But just a whole lot of quantity and minimal quality, I have no tolerance for. I just don't. Because I went to church, and never really saw our natural lives improve. I'm serious. Even though I knew God, even though I had a relationship with God, even though I had praying grandparents, you know what I'm saying? They pretty much lived quiet, peaceful lives. They were not perfect. God knows they were not perfect in no kind of way. But I saw them pray. You know, my grandma taught me scripture. So when I said I learned God at home, that's what I meant. And I think it's that has kept me through every season, is because the way that I experienced God wasn't necessarily in church, even though I went to church. And of course I felt God at church. But my first real awareness, my first real encounter was at home. Even being filled with the Holy Spirit, that happened at home for me. With nobody. Nobody lay hands on me. It happened me by myself. Just relationship with God. All right? And I started reading and figured out, oh, it's a gift. I want every gift God got. And I literally was like, I want every gift you got. In prayer. I'm probably about 17. And it just happened. In the room by myself praying. So a lot of stuff happened for me at home. So I think that's what has made my journey different, and I've been able to stick with God, which I say all the time, stick with God, is because of that. because my first encounters were outside of people that said they knew God, represented God. Even though I love church, went to church, my real encounter with God was at home. So I'm saying all that to say, do you think you being tainted or saying I'm done with God at a point was because your first experience or awareness of God was through somebody who supposedly represented God?
Yeah.
Now, and and I was saying, like, even people that choose to live alternate lifestyles, alternative lifestyle, alternate. This ain't no pageant, but alternative lifestyles. And for people to tell them that because of that, they can't love God or they can't know God. How you feel about that? Either one of y'all. Like, how can you tell a person they don't know God? How can you tell a person there's no way they can love God? Because it's a different sin. Or, it's because it's a certain kind of sin. How do you feel about that? Just freely speak. I want you to be honest.
I
too.
think it's hypocritical because, there's no sin greater than the other. So because my sin looks different than your sin, I don't love God, right? And I know for me, also, another part of my testimony, a big thing he talked about, I don't know if it was you or somebody else, or maybe you said it where, you would never disown your child. But I know for me, I also dabbled in homosexuality.
Mm-hmm.
And so I remember at one point in time, my family telling me I couldn't come home. And
Wow.
so I went through that. So I went through, and I say everything.
I mean,
Everything.
when I tell you, I'm every woman.
I went through
Really,
everything.
yeah.
And so it was like, well, you telling me I'm sinful because of this,
But
you cussing out, this person. So what's the difference? So it's very hypocritical to me.
How you feel about that?
I agree with what she's saying. There's no one way to love God. I feel like everybody has their own journey, as you've been saying. Everybody has their own way of showing love towards him. And I just feel like there's enough anger with everything else in the world that we can't just be angry for someone who wants to love God, but it's a sin in the Bible for this, but it's also a sin to be talking on people behind their back and all this other stuff, so you can't really be mad. You can't really be mad at someone.
And then my thing is this, okay, if somebody is, living a certain way or doing a certain thing that we as the church deem sinful, I remember one time me and my son was having this conversation, and he was saying, how we always say that's a spirit. And he said, okay, if we say that's a spirit, why don't we deal with the spirit instead of hating the person? And he's just saying that's the thing that gets me is often we hate, mistreat, shun the person versus dealing with the spirit. And so I thought that was a good way to put it. And I think that sometimes where we miss it at is that we attack the person, versus dealing with whatever that stronghold or that struggle is. And if there's any place that anybody should be, if they got something going on that they're struggling with, it should be church. It should be church. They should find a safe place, not a comfortable place to just do what you want to do, but it should be a safe place, a loving place, and being drawn from, into, by and with love. And so that's my thing. And so, I don't know if there's anybody who have any questions. You can type them for us in the chat or on the screen, and Desi will kind of let me know if it's a question that anybody has. I really have enjoyed talking to them because I know firsthand some of their experiences because they've told me, but I know there are so many other people. Your story may be different. Your experience may be different. And, I know a lot of people be like, there ain't no such thing as church hurt. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And the thing of it is because what makes church hurt is because you don't expect church to hurt.
That's good.
That's what it really is. You know, you don't expect church, which is a place full of people that are imperfect, to hurt. When you go out in the world and somebody hurt you, it's not as painful because you expect that from them or you're not shocked by that. I think what makes church hurt is that we never expect church to hurt. And I think that's the thing that makes it church hurt. And so, so you can't look at somebody and say, now there are some people, yeah, we know. There are some people bounce from place to place to place and, because they can't do what they want to do and they ain't given the platform or the access that they want to. And then, they want to deem that and call it hurt. Well, we gotta come in and we gotta evaluate that. You've been to 17 churches and there's one you. Now, you're something wrong. You understand what I'm saying? So, but come on, we gotta be real with that. Not saying that you haven't been hurt, but there's something missing somewhere. What is your reasoning for connecting? Maybe you're connecting for the wrong reason. And you just connecting to places and you never finish an assignment. That could be it as well. You never finish an assignment. You just jump from place to place because you offended or about something. You know what I'm saying? And so that could be it. But I truly believe that church hurts because we don't expect church to hurt. I think that's it in the long run. We don't expect people in church to hurt us or disappoint us or, What you about to say?
I was going to say, because also for me, it was I was looking for God in church and people and not God. Yeah. And during that time of the isolation, God was like, I need you to learn me for yourself because you done saw me through the eyes of your grandparents who raised you, the church people, the world, the media. And I think for me, because, I was like, I'm done with you. God said, you blaming me for people.
What people
done. They ain't got nothing to me. They ain't got nothing to do with me, So that was it for me. It's church hurt for me was I was looking at God through the lens of people in the physical church and not God.
And I cannot stress the importance of personal relationship. Yeah. I cannot. Y'all know that's what I teach, like big and huge. Like personal relationship trumps religion. You need to have a personal relationship with God, and that's how your journey really is going to begin. That's how you're really going to know who God is that personal time that was spent with God and his presence and his word with God, you personally, not always being prodded and pushed and directed by somebody else. The building disciples is building people that can disciple. You know what I'm saying? So it's supposed to be just an ongoing process. As you build people to be disciples, then those disciples disciple. Yeah. And it's supposed to be an ongoing process. But you can't build people to be disciples without pushing them, teaching them to have their own personal relationship with God. Yeah. And so, you really can't truly disciple. You know what I mean? Without that. So I think that's the most important thing. Desi, did we have any questions? No questions. Okay. Well, we wrapping it up. We right at almost 45 minutes. I have so enjoyed talking to them, talking about their journeys. And I remember you was telling me, one thing I want to talk about, you was saying you were about to get the tattoos removed.
Oh, yeah.
And you did it. So what is this right here?
So these right here represents the elements of fire, water, air, earth, which a lot of them are used science, but also in witchcraft when you're doing certain like incantations and spells. And so when I say I was angry, I marked my whole body. But I was going to get the tattoos removed. I told you that.
Yeah, we just talked about that.
I was on my way to get the tattoos removed because at this point in time, so I told you I denounced and renounced all that stuff in 2019. And then 2020 is when I fully surrendered to God. And I was like, God, I'm going to get back in church. I'm going to do what you called me to do. But because I had experienced church hurt, I was like, well, people going to see my tattoos and they going to judge me.
I've never seen them.
See?
I have never seen them until you showed them to me in the hallway the other day.
But that's that church.
I never paid attention to them. Mm-hmm. I've never seen them. I didn't even know. I've never seen that.
Yeah.
And until today. I am not kidding you.
Really?
No.
Really?
Like when I'm talking to you, I'm not even.
Yeah.
Like I can talk to people
Yeah.
and somebody
Yeah.
can say, what she had on? And I won't know.
Yeah.
And I could have been inside there and had a 15-minute conversation with you.
Yeah.
Because I try my best to, when I'm talking to somebody, I want them to feel like they're the only person in the room.
Yeah.
So I'm very engaged.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to even be able to tell you had on a pink blouse.
Yeah.
If somebody come and say, what she had on? I don't know. This has happened. I have been talking to somebody and somebody say, you know the girl with the young, and they was like, you was up there talking to it. And I'm like, I've talked to that person for 30 minutes and never even recognized they had on a yellow shirt because I have so tried to program myself to be in tune with the person that I'm talking to, not things and stuff. And I have, as much as we've talked, encounter, hugged, I've never seen it.
But that was
Ever.
that church, like I'm just, people going to judge me, and I'm going to be, and they going to look at my tattoos. And so I was like, I got to get them removed. I was on my way to the tattoo shop, literally getting out the car, and God said, no, don't get them removed, because the people that I need to send to you for you to help, they're going to be drawn to you. So you use them as a testimony of what I delivered you from. So I haven't gotten them removed. And I have people all the time, oh my gosh, I was about to, people, especially this one girl, literally recently, she said, oh my gosh, those are the chakras. I was about to get those, and I just got into, getting my tarot cards. And then God is like, here you go. So every moment that I encounter stuff like that, I'm
That
able
is
to
so
give a
powerful.
testimony. So I don't get them removed. And when people ask me now, it used to be like this shame, but now I'm just like, girl, yeah, God delivered me. And I'm like, girl. And so I've had so many people to just kind of pull away from, all because of my obedience. So.
And the thing of it is what we don't realize is most often our purpose is tied to pulling people out of what we came out of. And it's like, okay, I got you out.
Yeah.
Now you got to go snatch every man that was depressed.
Yeah.
Every man that, that crossed, God's going to constantly cause men to cross your path that that have childhood trauma or stuff in their childhood that's caused them to act a certain way in their adulthood or struggle with depression. You will constantly have people like that cross your path because you know firsthand what that feels like. You know firsthand how to walk through that. You know firsthand how it feels to be on the other side of that. Doesn't mean you don't ever have your moments and you don't ever have your times. But this is where you're going to know your growth is. I handle it different.
I know how to walk through it now.
Come on. I used to deal with depression so bad. I remember times in my life when I was depressed for months. I'm talking about it would last months. Months of not wanting to come out the house. Months of not wanting to do nothing. Months of just sitting in the dark. And I saw the growth when it started being 3 weeks. Then 2 weeks. Then 1 week. I mean, I just was evolving until it went from me being depressed for months after month after month after month to the days. It was a process. The days became shorter. You know what I'm saying? With how long I would be fighting the spirit of depression. And now, I can feel when the enemy trying to bring it on me. I not only have natural things, I have natural, because sometimes you got to just get up and go somewhere. You got to get around people and all kind of stuff like that so that, you can walk it out. So you got to put this natural and the spiritual together to walk through a lot of stuff. Sometimes it's just getting up, getting out, going somewhere, walking somewhere, doing something to break it, to help break things off you as well. I have enjoyed them so much. I do? Okay, I have a question. Okay.
Well, actually, it's for Chestoria. Can you hear me?
That's what you was trying to tell me, Jonathan. Why you just didn't say you got a question?
Can you hear me?
You was doing all sign language and
Can
stuff.
y'all hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. What's Chestoria's
Chestoria
question?
says, this is from Miss Nikki. Was your moment of deliverance from witchcraft a terrifying process because of what you studied and practiced, or did you feel protection of God during this process?
Oh, that's a good question. It was scary at first because I went through deliverance by myself.
Okay.
And I was fought really hard during that moment. Like I would have dreams. I was vomiting, diarrhea.
Woo.
At first I thought I was sick. So I went to the doctor. I had them run labs. I had them, I got a gynecologist test. I thought something was going on, child. I'm talking about I went to every doctor, and I was like, you're fine. And then in that moment, God's like, this is deliverance. Like the spiritual things that you went through, this is like the physical releasing of those things. Because you see that in movies, but I didn't know because I didn't have anybody to walk me through it. Mm-hmm. And prior to, God told me it would be lonely. So I'm going through and I'm learning this process of deliverance on my own. I would have people like send me messages. Witches were attacking me. I mean, it was like stuff you saw in a movie, but it was terrifying at first. But it was kind of like one of those things where God said, I gotta take you through this so that you can help somebody else. The beginning of it, again, Miss Nikki, it was very terrifying, but God told me, He was with me. I wasn't alone. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's just the only way I can experience. But I thought something was wrong with me. I thought the cancer had came back because the stuff that I was going through, like my face, I still got pictures. God told me to document all of it. My face broke out so bad. I was covered in like hives, and it was bad.
It was manifested.
It was manifest. That's
releasing
releasing itself. And so, yes, to answer your question again, it was terrifying at first, but through the journey, God walked me through it. I had to go through it alone, but I'm glad that I got through that part of it. Jesus.
Is that it?
I got another question from Ms. Nikki. This is for Ryan. Do you feel you turning your heart back to Christ is one of the major reasons your son loves God the way he does?
Because when I tell you,
the light that was in front of him.
I think it helps him more now that he sees both his parents calling for God when we need help, or just saying his name, saying thank you for everything that's happened, that's going to happen, that's been happening. And when he's scared, he'll ask us to come and pray with him in the bed before he goes to bed. All right, let's pray. And we'll pray, but we're strong. God's our friend. Jesus is our family. He's got us no matter what. And he'll repeat it, and then sometimes he'll just come up to us and pray randomly to us. So I think it helps him a lot knowing that his dad is also working on himself through God.
Okay, Ryan, I don't know how much more I can take now, but I'm listening.
Yeah. I think it does help the kids knowing that both parents are with God.
No, for real. Yeah, and he's so God conscious. Yeah. He is so God conscious. I was hugging him the other Sunday, and I was like, you going to give me a hug? And so he was hugging me, and he said, I just want Jesus. I was like, so you don't want me? And he was just like, I just want Jesus. That's all I want. I just want Jesus. That's what he said to me. And I was like, okay, you can have Jesus, But he was so serious. So serious. And he is so God conscious.
Yeah, he
that
walks
is
around the house
powerful.
And says, Jesus is my friend. I say, he is. He's your friend. He's your best friend, huh? He's like, yeah, he's my best friend. I talk to him at school. I'm cool.
I know. But would you have ever thought that? You do know that's because of you, though, right? You got to sit in there. That's because of you. That's because of you. You lead, right? And isn't it amazing how God allowed you to do that turn before he could get consciousness of what really was so that you would already be where you needed to be? You know what I'm saying? When he would be able to be conscious of who God is and what it's all about. That's powerful. That's breaking a generational pattern. That make you a cycle breaker. Do you know it, though?
I don't know yet, but I think I'm getting now.
You know. That's good. Is there any more? Okay. We love you guys. I thank you, Chestoria. I thank you, Ryan. They did this on a whim, literally on a whim. But I appreciate them because I think people need to hear it. That's another side. Now they're partners here. What attracted you to TPC, though? Because you say you were done with church. I know you say you was done with church. What attracted you to TPC? And this is not a sell TPC, but because we at TPC, I can talk about TPC.
Um,
What attracted you to TPC that you said when I'm going back to church? I know you said God told you to come.
Honestly, it would be you.
Okay.
The authenticity, because I was needing. God knew what I need. I got prayed for you, but I didn't know it was you.
Ooh,
Um,
all right.
yes,
Meeting the joint. I'm just kidding.
I prayed for you, but I didn't know it was you. And everything that I prayed for, God answered in you. As
Oh,
far
wow.
as like a leader, being transparent, being
Sometimes I feel like
genuine,
I'm too transparent.
being authentic and real, and just like I prayed for you, and God put you, said that's who I, that's it. There's your prayer.
That's it right there.
And then my church family, like I know the first time that I came, somebody hugged me. I went home and I cried the whole way home because I hadn't had a hug in like 6 months. I was like, I needed that hug,
Are
but
you
just
serious? Who was it? Do you remember who it was?
I want to say it was either um it was Miss Nikki. She was standing right there on the
Miss
wall.
Nikki Harris?
Yes.
Or Miss Nikki McNeil?
Miss Nikki Afro.
That
McNeil.
wears the
Yes.
head wrap. Nikki
Yes,
McNeil.
McNeil.
Uh-huh.
She was standing right there. She hugged me, and I got in my car. I was like, I needed that hug. But just the church family.
She got healing hugs too, though.
She does.
She does. She has healing hugs.
She does. But and you and the church family, I've grown so much.
Do you feel like you at home?
I feel like I told
Because I think you should feel at home at
I
church.
told my mama this. I feel like I go to family reunion, the group therapy with my family every Sunday. I feel like I'm sit on the couch with my family every Sunday.
Really?
Yes.
What about you, Ryan?
I agree with everything she said, but I really needed somebody that wasn't gonna play like no nonsense with me. Like, hey, this is what's gonna happen. This is what I need you to do, and that's what you are for me. Every time I come in on Sunday and you say something, I feel like everybody feels it like you just talking to them, but you talking to everybody, but like she talking to me. No, but it's the no nonsense. You don't play with nobody. Hey, this is what I'm feeling today. You come here, and I'm gonna tell you what I see on you today. And I think it's the realness and the honesty that you just push out, and you're not scared to say anything. You're passionate about what you say and the love you give to everybody, no matter if they're the first time here, you've seen them for years coming, that you give everything to everybody in here. And I think that's what.
And we don't play battle. We don't play
I
battle.
can go a little bit further just off of what y'all said today. I was going to quit this week.
We
but
don't
they
play
pushed me.
battle.
I'm just kidding. Listen to her.
We don't play
We don't
battle.
about her. But no, for real. But I appreciate y'all. Thank you so much for doing this on the whim. Thank you, Desi, who's always down for whatever, whenever, however. She my rider when it comes to this stuff. And I just appreciate her. Quake running around here somewhere. I see his head up in the balcony. I see the tip of his head. So thank y'all so much for coming in tonight, doing this on a whim. I appreciate you. I already know somebody was blessed by it because it was just so authentic. Both of your stories are so powerful, and I'm thankful. So I hope that we help somebody tonight. I hope that you will get in a place, in a space where you can see God be God for yourself. You know what I'm saying? Not based on so much of what you experience from people who say they know God, who say they serve God, but get to know God and don't punish God for what somebody does. You know, God is not a man that he should lie. All right. And so don't hold God hostage because of what somebody who said they loved God did. We're all imperfect. Every day we all need mercy. We all need grace. Every day we need it. So nobody is perfect. We miss it every day. All of us are striving to be better. That's why I always say on some Sundays, hey, let's just celebrate better today. You know, being better. We're not where we want to be, but we're definitely not where we were. Yes. And that within itself needs to be celebrated. I love you guys.